Continue our exploration of our story by going to the nature of existence itself. How did it all begin? What is it like? The idea we have already discussed has to do with our physical beginnings. But what about our spiritual beginnings? What about our consciousness? Where do we come from in that context? Let us start at the beginning with the One. Scientists today are exploring the idea of what they call a unified theory of physics, where they know that all of the different physical phenomena in nature have to have a single origin. They have to be different aspects of one single thing. Well, this would be true of everything in existence, including our consciousness. So the idea is that if you start with everything being an expression of one thing, what is that one thing? Well, a lot of people refer to it as God, Goddess, all that is, by any number of names. It doesn't really matter, because the idea is if we are all extensions of that one thing, how do we explain our experience from that point of view? To understand the One takes a little bit of a mental gymnastic, because it's something very unusual, something beyond our normal space-time understanding of reality. If you understand the concept of the One, you understand that it is a single homogeneous existence. There is no differentiation within it. So it doesn't have any experience of itself at all. It doesn't have something to bounce off of, so to speak. There is no other to bounce off of. And this brings us to the understanding that the idea of self can only exist if there is an idea or an experience of other than self. Otherwise, if everything is homogeneous, there's no differentiation. There's no sense of self. So within the One, there must be contained the idea of that difference. There must be an experience within the One that creates self-awareness, self-identity. And that means that there is a portion of the One that experiences itself as something other than itself, that there is a reflection within it, that it can experience as the other than self in order to have a self-identity by comparison. And it is that reflection that is all of us and everything in existence. So all of us, everything in the universe, everything in the multiverse, everything in every parallel reality is simply a reflection of that one thing, knowing itself and experiencing itself through everything that is reflecting back to it. Everything that lets it know it is, in fact, something that exists. So the One can only really experience itself as a self with a self-identity if it also has an aspect that reflects back to it something that appears to be other than itself. A crude analogy of this would be like not having any mirrors to know what you look like. If there were no mirrors in the world, no reflective surfaces, you would never understand how you look. Only by having a mirror do you know what you look like. So by having that reflective quality in the One, where it can know itself, it can feel and experience itself as something other than itself, do you get the idea of creation, the idea of manifestation of all that we experience within existence. But all of us and everything within existence, in every parallel reality in the multiverse, are all the different ways that the One has of experiencing itself. Now, in our particular physical reality, we often think of it as a duality, positive and negative, light and dark. But the idea is, it is actually a trinity. And this is where the idea of the Trinity comes from, because it has the positive, it has the negative, but it also has the neutral in between, the balancing point between those two things. And it is from that balance point that everything issues. A lot of people understand that polarity exists, but how do you have opposites if they don't both come from some central place that says this is this way and this is that way? It's a reference point in the middle that explains the other 2 points. So from that context, existence is a trinity, and everything that has to do with existence has that threefold aspect, because there is always positive, always negative, and always the neutral central point in the middle on every single level. It may be experienced differently on the different levels within existence, but you always have that trinity. And as we know from geometry, the triangle is the first shape that exists in physical reality that is complete. You can have the idea of a point that is one-dimensional. You can have the idea of a line, and you have the idea of a plane that is two-dimensional, but only in the plane can you have the triangle. And that is the strongest shape and the first shape in geometry that is a complete shape. So the concept of the Trinity is what underscores the foundation of existence itself. Another way of expressing the idea of all of these reflections of the One is to say that the universe or existence is kind of structured holographically. And the idea of a hologram is that everything about the One is contained in every point. As an actual hologram, when we recreate a three-dimensional image holographically, it creates a kind of interference pattern on a single sheet of film. And that interference pattern contains all the information of the whole at every point on that piece of film. So that if you shine a light through it, a laser through it, to recreate the three-dimensional image, you get the three-dimensional image and you can see all the different perspectives of that image as if it were a true three-dimensional object, because all the information for that entire object is everywhere on that film. And by looking at it from different perspectives, from over here, from over there, from the top, from the bottom, you get a recreation of an actual three-dimensional object. The universe is kind of structured this way. Existence is kind of structured this way. So that all the information of the whole is, in a sense, at every point. This was expressed many, many thousands of years ago by a concept called Indra's net. And this was supposed to be a net made of many pearls. The idea being that this is a holographic structure, because in every single pearl is a reflection of all the other pearls in the net. And that means you only have to go to one pearl to get the information of the entire net. So existence being structured this way, holographically, allows us, with the right frequency, to extract information from the totality of existence at every point in existence. And this leads us to the concept of parallel realities. It may seem to be an exotic concept, but from the channeled information that has come through me, the very existence of space and time, in a sense, is proof of parallel realities, and it is explained in the following way. Scientists, again, in looking for this unified theory, are attempting to reduce all known phenomenology in the physical universe down to a single principle. So it's kind of a reductive theory, the process of reducing things down to see how they're all related to one fundamental foundational principle. Well, if that is true, if that is the true nature of the unified theory, then even space and time have to be reduced to their fundamental principles. The most fundamental reduction of space would be as a single dimensionless point. The most fundamental reduction of time would be as a single timeless moment. We can call the single dimensionless point here and the single timeless moment now. So we can say, from that point of view, that everything is here and now. If everything is truly the product of one particular dimensionless point and one timeless moment, then how do we experience the idea of the volumes of space, of all of the different moments that we experience in what we call time? Well, that exactly will explain how parallel realities are created. Because if everything is truly just a single place, a single point here, and a single moment now, then what we experience as different moments and different places have to be the same moment, the same place, from different angles, from different perspectives, from different points of view. And this brings us back to the holographic idea, where a hologram looks like a three-dimensional object as we move around it, as we expose it, because the information of every aspect of that object that was photographed is contained everywhere on that film. So when you change your angle, your perspective, you get to see another side of the object. Similarly, if you change your perspective of the single dimensionless point of here and the single timeless moment of now, then you get what appears to be a different moment, a different place, but it's all the same place, it's all the same moment from a different point of view, from a different perspective. So with this in mind, even the idea of space and time itself, as we experience it, can be looked at as proof of the existence of parallel realities. Now, what are parallel realities? How do you experience parallel realities? Well, according to the information that has come through from Bashar in the channelings, we are constantly experiencing parallel realities, because he's saying every moment is a new moment. It's a different perspective, therefore a different reality. Any change is a total change. So even the slightest change in your perspective of that single place, that single time moment, is a completely new experience of reality, and can be defined as going back to zero, back to zero, back to zero with every new moment. Now, according to the information that has come through in the channeling, this is actually happening to us. We are literally shifting through billions upon billions of parallel realities every single moment in order to create what we consider to be our single timeline. It is literally like a series of still frames that are being viewed one at a time in a certain sequence, in much the same way that a movie plays out on a movie screen. So you know that the film strip contains all the frames at once, and the projectionist can look at the film strip and can see all the frames at the same time. That exemplifies the idea that everything exists at once. And therefore, when he plays, or she plays, the film strip through a projector onto a movie screen, you get a sense of time and space changing. And that is how Bashar says our reality actually works. Our consciousness is literally shifting through billions of these frames every single second, according to the dimension called the Planck time and Planck distance. That's the tick of the clock, so to speak, of our physical reality. And at that particular rate of shifting through these frames, these still frames, each of which, like a movie strip, has no movement in it, no experience in it, but when experienced in a sequence, as projected onto the movie screen of reality, we get this sense of motion, of change, of growth, of newness, of discovery, and we experience the passage of time and the volume of space. But this is the illusion created by our consciousness, because our consciousness is literally the experience of existence itself. But as we choose to experience physical reality, this dimension of reality, as opposed to non-physical reality, then we experience it with this series of frames. We experience it through the experience of space and time, discretely, frame by frame, but so fast, billions of times per second, that it appears smooth, and we don't even know that we're doing this. We don't know that we're shifting through all of these frames, all of these parallel realities, one after another, according to how we choose to navigate through all of those frames. We will talk about the idea of how we navigate through those frames in another episode.